Imagine, if you will, a single soul scattered across the vast tapestry of existence, not in one place but in many. This is the story of Thomas Edward. He is not a king, nor a conqueror. He is an ordinary man, living an extraordinary life across 4 distinct universes. Each reality is a reflection, a different path humanity could take. In one we find unity, in another, division. Some are bathed in the light of truth, while others are shrouded in the darkness of carefully constructed lies. At the epicenter of this cosmic crossroads stands Thomas, a reluctant witness to it all. He bears the weight of these divergent worlds, feeling their joy and their sorrow as if they were his own. His journey is not one of physical travel, of stepping through shimmering portals or hurtling through wormholes. Instead, it is a journey of consciousness, a profound connection to his other selves. He sees what they see, he feels what they feel. Thomas is a man defined by the truths he has uncovered and the deceptions he has been forced to confront. He carries the collective memory of humanity's greatest triumphs and its most heartbreaking failures. In every universe, he is simply Thomas Edward, a man who understands that the universe doesn't just ask us questions, it shows us the answers in the lives we choose to lead. Each universe presents a different facet of the human spirit. One world thrives on compassion and shared understanding, its people bound by the invisible threads of empathy. Another is fractured by greed and suspicion, where walls are built higher than bridges. A third shows the slow, arduous process of healing, of mending the rifts of the past. And the fourth serves as a stark warning, a vision of what happens when we allow our worst impulses to steer our destiny. Thomas does not have the power to change these worlds directly. His role is more subtle, more profound. He is a mirror, reflecting the consequences of our choices back at us. And so, we begin our journey alongside him, peering into these alternate realities. We will explore the very fabric of belief, the nature of power, and the enduring strength of the human heart. Thomas Edward's story is not merely a flight of fancy, it is a profound exploration of who we are and who we could become. It is a reminder that for every path taken, another is left behind, and the echoes of those choices reverberate through all of time and space. The question he poses to himself and to us is a simple one. Faced with the truth, what will we do? His multiversal existence is a grand experiment in human potential played out across the cosmos. In the first universe we visit, Thomas Edward is a man shaped by loss. He has felt the sting of grief, the hollowness that comes when a loved one is taken too soon. This experience did not break him. Instead, it cracked him open, allowing a strange new light to enter. Through his healing he gained a unique and burdensome gift, the ability to see the invisible walls that divide people. He perceives the subtle lies, the whispered half-truths, and the ancient deceptions that have been woven into the very fabric of society. He sees how these falsehoods create suspicion and fear, turning neighbor against neighbor and nation against nation. This Thomas is a quiet man, an observer who walks through a world humming with a frequency of deceit that only he can hear. He watches as leaders speak of unity while sowing seeds of discord. He listens as people repeat narratives they have been taught, never questioning the source or the agenda behind the words. The pain of his past has given him an empathy that transcends tribal lines, but it also isolates him. To see the machinery of division so clearly is to feel a constant, low-level sorrow for a world that seems addicted to its own conflicts. He understands that these divisions are not natural, they are manufactured for power and control. He carries the knowledge that much of human history is built on a foundation of manipulated truth. He sees how historical events have been rewritten, how heroes have been turned into villains, and how inconvenient truths have been scrubbed from the record. This is not a conspiracy theory to him, it is a visible reality. He feels the weight of these collective deceptions, a burden that he cannot share with those around him. They cannot see what he sees. They are living within the illusion, while he is standing just outside of it, looking in. His silence is not born of apathy, but of a deep and abiding sadness for what has been lost. Yet in this universe, Thomas finds his purpose not in shouting from the rooftops, but in quiet acts of honesty. He chooses his words with care, seeking to build bridges where others have built walls. He listens more than he speaks, offering a space for genuine connection to grow. He knows he cannot dismantle the entire system of lies on his own, but he believes that by living an authentic life, by refusing to participate in the charade, he can create a small island of truth in a sea of deception. His healing began with confronting his own pain, and now he understands that the world's healing must begin with confronting its own lies. At the heart of the divisions Thomas perceives lies a story that has been reshaped by time and power. He delves into what he calls the hidden years, a period where the narrative of a pivotal figure in human history was fundamentally altered. He speaks of a man known to many as Jesus, but whom he has come to know by another name, a name closer to his origins, Yeshua. Thomas understands that this was not merely a change in translation, but a deliberate act of appropriation. The story of a Jewish teacher, a man who preached love, justice, and defiance against oppressive empires, was co-opted. His identity was sanded down, his Jewishness minimized, to create a figurehead for a new and powerful institution. This reframing had profound consequences, creating a chasm between faiths that should have been brothers. Thomas sees how the followers of Yeshua, the early Christians, were slowly disconnected from their Jewish roots. A religion born from Judaism was twisted into something that would, for centuries, persecute the very people from whom it sprang. He sees how Islam, which reveres Jesus as Isa, a great prophet, holds a version of his story that is different still, yet closer in spirit to the man than the imperial deity he became. Thomas grieves for this historical schism, a wound inflicted by emperors and theologians for political gain, a wound that still festers today. The truth, as Thomas sees it, is that Yeshua's message was one of internal liberation, not external conquest. He spoke of a kingdom of God that was within, a state of being accessible to all, not a promise of terrestrial power. But empires need symbols of authority. They need gods who bless their armies and sanction their rule. And so, the humble rabbi from Galilee was transformed. His teachings were codified, edited, and sometimes invented to serve the needs of the Roman Empire and the institutions that followed. The simple message of love was wrapped in layers of doctrine and dogma, its original essence often lost in the process. This realization is not an attack on the faith of billions. For Thomas, it is a call to look deeper, to seek the man behind the icon. He believes that rediscovering the historical Yeshua, the Jewish sage, the storyteller, the advocate for the poor and marginalized, could be a powerful act of reconciliation. It could help heal the rift between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, revealing their shared heritage and common values. It is a plea to strip away the layers of empire and theology, to find the truth that has been hidden in plain sight, a message of unity that was tragically used to create millennia of division. In the second universe, we witness a world where humanity's worst impulses have been given free rein. Here, power and money are the ultimate gods, and all other values are sacrificed at their altar. Thomas Edward exists in this reality as a man haunted by the sins of his ancestors. He sees how structures of immense wealth and authority were built on the backs of the oppressed, how empires rose by exploiting lands and peoples. This is a world that celebrates the victor without ever questioning the cost of the victory. The very institutions that claim to offer salvation are deeply entangled with the mechanisms of control, their beautiful cathedrals and soaring spires built with the profits of conquest and commerce. Thomas feels a profound sense of regret, a collective penance for the actions of the past. He understands that even things with noble origins like religion can be corrupted when they become instruments of state power. He watches as faith is sold like a commodity, its messages of humility and compassion twisted to justify wealth accumulation and social stratification. In this universe, prayers are offered for prosperity, and charity is often a public relations exercise rather than a genuine act of empathy. The spirit of Yeshua's teachings, to care for the poor, to challenge the powerful, is not just ignored, it is actively inverted. The powerful are seen as blessed, and the poor are blamed for their own suffering. The air in this reality is thick with a sense of spiritual emptiness. People chase wealth and status with a desperate fervor, believing these things will bring them happiness, only to find themselves more isolated than ever. Thomas sees the deep loneliness in the eyes of the so-called winners of this game. They have built fortresses of gold and steel around their hearts, mistaking security for connection. He recognizes this pattern because it is an echo of history, the same story of empires that rise, glitter with immense power, and then crumble from within, their moral foundations having long since eroded. He feels a deep sorrow for a world that has gained so much, yet lost its soul. In this gilded cage, Thomas chooses a path of quiet rebellion. He lives simply, finding wealth not in possessions but in relationships and shared experiences. He works to expose the ways in which systems of power perpetuate injustice, not through angry rhetoric, but through patient dialogue and education. He carries the weight of his civilization's past mistakes, not as a crushing burden but as a motivation to build a better future. He knows that true repentance is not about words of apology, it is about changing one's actions. He is a living testament to the idea that one can live in a corrupt world without being corrupted by it. Now let us turn our gaze to a more hopeful reality. Universe 3 is not a perfect world, but it is a world that is healing. Here, the truths that were hidden for so long are finally coming to light, and humanity is beginning the difficult work of reconciliation. This is a world where people are choosing to listen to one another, to learn from their shared history, and to dismantle the walls that have kept them apart. Thomas Edward, in this universe, is a facilitator of this great change. He is a teacher and a storyteller, sharing the uncomfortable truths of the past not to assign blame, but to foster understanding and forgiveness. The lies are being undone, thread by painful thread. In this reality, humanity has realized that its survival depends on cooperation, not conflict. The old divisions of nation, religion, and tribe are beginning to dissolve as people recognize their common humanity. There's a growing understanding that the teachings of Yeshua, of Buddha, of Muhammad, and of so many other great sages all point toward the same fundamental truths: compassion, empathy, and the interconnectedness of all life. The religions of the world are not abandoning their traditions, but they are rediscovering the core of love and justice that unites them all. They are learning to see the same light shining through different windows. What is most remarkable about this universe is its capacity for forgiveness. Even those whose ancestors committed great wrongs and those who themselves upheld systems of oppression are given a chance to change. The goal is not vengeance, but restoration. Truth is the catalyst, but empathy is the cure. As the real history of empires and the manipulation of beliefs is revealed, the response is not a cry for retribution, but a collective sigh of understanding. People are learning to say, "This is what we did, this was wrong. Now how do we make it right together?" It is a slow and often painful process, but it is a process driven by hope. Thomas Edward finds his greatest joy in this world. He sees former enemies sharing a meal, children of different faiths playing together without prejudice, and leaders speaking with humility and honesty. He knows the journey is far from over, that the scars of the past are deep and will take generations to fully fade. But the direction has changed. Humanity has chosen a new path, one guided by the pursuit of truth and the promise of unity. This universe is a testament to our better angels, a vision of what we can achieve when we choose love over fear and connection over division. It is the promise of a dawn after a long dark night. Finally, we must look upon the darkest of these reflections. Universe 4 is a cautionary tale, a stark and terrifying vision of what happens when humanity refuses to face the truth. In this world, the lies have won. The divisions have deepened into unbridgeable chasms. People cling to their tribes and their dogmas with a fierce desperation, seeing anyone different as an existential threat. The truth is not only ignored, it is actively punished. To question the official narrative is to be branded a traitor. This is a world where silence is mistaken for peace, and conformity is mistaken for unity. The consequences are catastrophic. Technology, which could have been used to solve humanity's greatest challenges, has instead been turned into the ultimate weapon of control and destruction. Wars are fought not just on battlefields, but in the digital realm, with misinformation and propaganda poisoning the well of public discourse until no one knows what to believe. The planet itself suffers, its resources plundered to fuel endless conflicts and a ravenous consumer culture that offers no real fulfillment. Everyone suffers in this world, from the powerful, trapped in their paranoid fortresses, to the powerless, who bear the brunt of the violence and deprivation. Thomas Edward in this reality is a fugitive, a keeper of forbidden knowledge. He is hunted by regimes that cannot allow his version of history to survive. He has seen how the refusal to acknowledge past injustices, the legacy of empires, the perversion of religion, has led directly to this dystopian present. The ghosts of the past were never exorcised, they were simply ignored, left to fester until they rose up to consume the world. This universe is the logical conclusion of a society built on deception. When the foundation is rotten, It is only a matter of time before the entire structure collapses into ruin. He lives in the shadows, sharing whispers of truth with a small scattered resistance. His heart is heavy with the weight of what could have been. He is a living memory of the other universes, of the paths not taken. He knows that this dark future was not inevitable. It was the result of a series of choices, the choice to value power over truth, to embrace division over unity, to remain silent in the face of injustice. This world serves as the ultimate warning. It shows us the abyss that awaits when we turn our backs on each other, and on the truth that binds us all. It is the price of our collective silence. In all these universes, through all the sorrow and all the hope, there is a number that holds a special significance for Thomas Edward, the number 15. This number is a thread of light that connects him to his past, and points toward a future of freedom. Its meaning is rooted in two powerful sources. The first is the story of Passover, the ancient Jewish festival of liberation. It begins on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan. For Thomas, this is a potent symbol of breaking free from bondage, not just the physical slavery of the past, but the mental and spiritual slavery of the present, the bondage of lies and division. The number also holds a deeply personal meaning. It connects him to the memory of his father, a man of simple wisdom and profound integrity. His father was born on the 15th of the month, and he taught Thomas the values that would guide him through his extraordinary existence. He taught him that true wealth is not measured in money or possessions, but in the richness of family, the strength of love, and the unshakable value of truth. This paternal legacy is Thomas's anchor, a constant reminder of where he comes from and what he stands for, no matter which universe he finds himself in. The 15th is a promise of redemption. This brings us to the core of Thomas Edward's promise. He is not a messiah, he is not a judge. He is simply a man who has seen the consequences of our choices played out across the canvas of reality. His message is humble, yet it carries the weight of worlds. He asks us to look at the stories we have been told, the histories we have been taught, and the beliefs we hold dear, and to ask ourselves, do they lead to unity or to division? Do they serve the truth or do they serve the powerful? He does not offer easy answers. He only asks that we have the courage to ask the questions. The time for that choice is now. We stand at our own crossroads in our own universe. We can continue down the path of division, ignoring the truths that make us uncomfortable, or we can choose a different way. We can begin the difficult work of listening, of healing, and of building a world based on the real wealth of truth, family, and love. The promise of Thomas Edward is the promise that lies within each of us, that a single person armed with honesty and compassion can be a spark of change. The choice now and always is ours. We must decide what kind of world we want to live in.